Cocktail History with the Freeborn County Historical Museum, Library, and Village. I'm Stephanie Kibler, the Executive Director here at the museum, with Risha Lilienthal, Collections and Exhibit Coordinator. I feel like I keep changing your title.
It's kind of changing every day.
It does evolve. It is a fluid title.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're featuring The Good Farmer.
Yes, in honor of it being March.
Which is Agriculture Month.
Yes.
It's also International Women's History Month.
True.
So we may have to look at that down the road too, but maybe we can do women farmers.
Oh,
Sounds
cool.
like a project for Linda Evenson.
Yeah, it does.
So the Good Farmer is a bourbon based, which is, I think we've only done one other bourbon whiskey based drink. Everything else has been.
Which one did we do that was bourbon?
Well, or whiskey. What did Michael use for?
Oh, yep, the Irish whiskey for
yeah,
old fashioned.
for an old fashioned. Otherwise, it tends to be gin based or funky liqueur based.
Yeah.
And since this cocktail really isn't a historical cocktail, it's more of a directing us towards our agricultural history kind of cocktail.
Right.
I found the history of whiskey or bourbon very interesting. And I didn't know this until I actually went down through the Smokies, that bourbon takes its name from Bourbon County, Kentucky.
Okay.
And it is the only place that bourbon is made. A true bourbon.
It's only in Kentucky.
Yes. And it is made from at least 51% corn and aged new charred oak barrels for at least 2 years.
Wow, that's a process.
Right. So most bourbons are aged for 4 years. And this is the distinctive taste, like rich, slightly sweet. Lots of times there's a little nuance of vanilla or caramel. Has made it a popular beverage in foreign countries.
Oh, really? Well,
Yeah.
that's neat.
But bourbon initially started in the 1700s.
Sure.
Immigrants from Scotland and Ireland who'd settled in parts of Pennsylvania and Maryland cultivated grain. So primarily it was a rye or barley whiskey to start with, which rye whiskey is a nice whiskey to use in an old-fashioned as well. But I thought this was kind of funny, not funny, interesting. Surplus stocks, which are hard to store, were transformed into grain whiskey. So they actually used their extra grains, leftovers, yeah. And then when the government inserted its right to tax whiskey, many of the home distillers then moved to Kentucky and Indiana, which is how bourbon came to be. One of the first distillers was Jim Beam. I think Jack Daniels followed closely after. And one of my favorite stories I watched on PBS during our COVID PBS session was a story about a gentleman named Nearest Green.
Oh, right, yes.
Who was a black man that actually taught Jack Daniels how to make bourbon.
Yeah.
And so now they have a bourbon named after him, and he is actually credited as being their first bourbon maker, with Jack Daniels then being the second, which I thought that was a really cool story.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like that. I kind of went on the other side and I was looking into lemons.
Yes.
Growing up, my father always had hot lemon before bed. Like, you know, we would have our hot cocoa. He would have to have his hot lemon.
Is he trying to avoid scurvy?
Maybe. I mean, he was also grew up a farmer, so I don't know, lemon. Lemons have a very kind of muddled past as to their origin, like most things.
That's good, because you know what we're gonna do?
We're gonna
muddle.
But they originated in Asia, lemon trees and stuff. And then I'm sorry,
did you know that before you did this?
No, I didn't.
Huh.
Yeah. they kind of progressed into the Middle East and stuff through trade.
Okay.
There are some frescoes in Pompeii. I love frescoes,
I
by
do
the way.
too.
But in Pompeii that show like kind of oranges and lemons, but they think they were traded
Okay.
and not actually grown there.
Okay.
And the Victorian era, I'm jumping up here, but in the Victorian era, it became a popular alternative to booze. During that time when they were saying no alcohol, the prohibition and everything, then when that was coming about, it was both in England and, well, the UK and here, it was a very popular alternative.
I could see that because, you know, if you have, like, for instance, a little seltzer water or sparkling water, a little squeeze of lemon in there.
It gets at that kind of
Yeah.
adult kick, I guess.
Yeah.
Lady Lucin Webb Hayes, who was the first lady here with a bird B. Hayes. She was the first lady to have a college degree, and her nickname was Lemonade Lucy.
I'm sorry, I love that. It's a lot easier than her whole.
Right. So she
Lemonade Lucy.
she wasn't ever called this in life when she was living, but afterwards she was called it because she banned alcohol from the White House when she was there during that time period, and then they would replace it with lemonade.
So they drank a lot of lemonade while
A lot
she
of
was in the
lemonade.
White House.
Yep.
The first lady
To have a college degree.
to have a college degree.
Yeah.
And there you have your tie to International Women's History Month.
Oh, there we go. I did it.
You did. You did.
Also, research on sour and lemonade kind of taste has said that there's a reason why that is something people have a taste for when it's hot outside and when you're doing a lot of work. So, you know, farmers in the fields,
Sure.
and they're working, there's a reason why lemonade is so thirst quenching. It's because drinks with sour flavors stimulate salivation.
Oh, sure they do.
So they help alleviate that kind of dry mouth feeling. And then it also continues after you've had that sour flavor. It continues to have
produce.
that kind of,
Interesting.
yeah. And I mean, it also gives you vitamin C, so that's good for
Sure.
you. Also helps with scurvy, like that.
That's scurvy.
Yep. This is another tie to farming with lemons, though. The first clear literary evidence we have of a lemon tree in any language dates from the early 10th century in an Arabic work by, I cannot say this name, I apologize, Kustus al-Rumi?
Kustus al-Rumi.
Yeah.
Kustus, I would say Kustus al-Rumi.
Yeah, I think so.
Al-Rumi?
Sure. Rumi?
Close, we're close.
Something. In his book on farming in the early 10th century. I tried to find more on that, but all it would tell me was that lemons were mentioned in his book on farming.
How interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat.
Well, should we mix
Yeah,
this?
let's mix it.
All right, so our first thing we want to do is we're going to muddle our fruit.
How do you do that?
And that's the thing she said. What is a muddle?
It's a muddle.
We're going
You
to
just
draw.
pop it in there. Oh,
We're gonna
mint.
do
I
a
love
few
mint.
more. This smells really good, you guys.
Mm.
Oh, let's just load it up. I want it to be minty. And I have to apologize. I do have a muddler at home. So muddler, it's about this size, but it's got, mine is stainless steel with rubber edging. And you use it so it kind of tears up.
Oh, sure.
I don't know if this is gonna do it. So we're gonna kind of, you can use a wooden spoon, which ironically we don't have here. Oh, see, you can start to smell it more.
Ooh, yeah.
But a muddle just kind of gets those oils out. So as you're, oh gosh, you can really smell the mint.
It like reminds me of a mortar and pestle.
It really, that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's really what you're doing. It's just a little different tool, but yes. So we'll do that. And then we're gonna put some crushed ice, which we don't have crushed, but we do have
Just
ice
some
cubes. So,
Just gonna give each of us 3.
that should work. And then we're gonna do 1.5 ounces of bourbon in each glass.
Each. Is this a pop or is this?
No, it's a twist,
Okay.
not a cork.
Oh, I love that sound.
And then after after the bourbon, we're going to top that off with lemonade and add a slice of lemon, which is more for the garnish, but I always think you get a little extra with the lemon too. Give me that.
Just top it off?
Just top it off. I want to add another ice cube in there, maybe. There, that's good. That ice melted fast.
It's like it's a hot summer's day.
Well, it's 51.
That is a heat wave.
That's a heat wave compared to what was it, 2 weeks ago, where it was 25 below. It feels like a hot summer's day. And then we give it a little stir.
Which lemons actually aren't only for summertime anyways. Lemons are an evergreen. Like they're a year round.
Really?
In the right climate. But yes.
Not in Minnesota?
No.
All right, to the good farmer and to all the good farmers.
I was expecting it to be more sour, but it doesn't taste sour.
Is that what's wrong? I was expecting more lemonade. It's not, but it's not like bourbon heavy.
No.
It's not really mint heavy. It's just kind of a. It almost tastes like kind of soda-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not what I expected. And not that it's not good.
Yeah, no, it wasn't expected.
Yeah, it was not prepared for that. Yeah, it's good.
It is good.
It's so being an agriculture. So we came up with this talking about Agriculture Month after we did our last popcorn history,
Yes.
I believe, and we will be featuring agriculture on that as well. But as we've gone through the museum and have been doing shifting of exhibits, reinventing some, creating new. Agriculture plays a huge role in so many areas.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started just thinking a little bit about our timeline.
Yeah.
So in 1890, the Armstrong Creamery Association was formed. And I like this. There was a strong sentiment among the farmers to make cheese exclusively. However, they decided that cheese would not be, or would be, an unprofitable industry. No cheese was made, and the decision delayed the creameries open. So they went from wanting to do all cheese to no cheese.
Can you imagine if they did cheese, though? I feel like that would have boomed.
Well, I don't know, maybe not then. I'm like, now, cheese, I mean,
Everybody loves cheese.
yeah. They made their first butter in March of 81. And that was nearly a year and 7 months after the creamery building was complete.
That's quick. They started going.
Well, so I thought that was kind of funny. They were going to do cheese and then they didn't do cheese. And then my other one, and I love the Hollandale Colony story because Hollandale was like the hub for produce apparently in Freeborn County. And I think it has a lot to do with what we've been looking at with the archeology exhibit.
The kettle rock
that
was
was
there,
yes.
that made the formation of the land.
Yes, and the sediments that
the
came
peat
in.
soil
So in 1919, the Hollandale Colony was started by the Albert Lee Farms Company. Bumper crops of celery, onions, potatoes, and other veggies grew immediately. Visitors came in droves to see the area and to purchase the famed Hollandale brand.
Oh,
That's really that's
cool.
yeah.
Prolific, I guess.
And it ties to agriculture, it ties to archaeology, it ties to business.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
It's cool. I like that.
And I see you brought one of our miniatures, which is another
Our
area.
little replica that we have a whole bunch of them from. His name was Fred Shoemaker.
I'm gonna do this if I may.
Yes. He lived on Pillsbury Avenue in Albert Lee from 1962 to 1975, where he made replicas like this. This is our hay loader here.
And we have a ton of different,
quite a few, yeah. Like cultivators and plows and a lot of hay kind of associated items, which is why it's in a perfect spot underneath that like beautiful mural we have from Sue Anderson.
Yep.
Yeah,
And it actually sits right next to the Lloyd Herfindahl farm painting that he did specifically for the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that has items that were used in kind of the 1700s.
Mm-hmm.
They were used at that time. It was like, hay already is time consuming. You talk to a farmer, the whole process is time consuming. They have to be there and take care of their crops, and then the harvesting is a bit, it's just go, I feel like. But in the early 1700s, they didn't have the machinery to do any of what they had to do. And so it's easy to understand why that was kind of a dreaded chore to do at that time.
I think it's still a dreaded chore.
I believe that. But it had to be hand cut with a sickle and hand raked with a wooden rake or fork, which we have examples of those in that Herfindahl case.
That case is actually one of my favorite cases because it's beautiful, and you don't usually hear that. You don't usually say that when you're looking at tools, farm tools.
Yeah.
But it is done so nicely that,
And we have life-size versions of hayload. We have two of them, don't we? We have a metal one and a wooden one of a life-size hayloader that was actually used in farming in Freeborn County.
And this, where this is located, that whole agriculture exhibit here in the museum is newly interpreted.
Right.
And we will this spring be going out. Thank you to a couple of donors, gave a sizable contribution to the agriculture exhibit that we're doing out in the Red Shed. So that'll all get revamped also, which is really exciting.
That we also just recently had somebody come in and we filmed a lecture on farmers during World War I.
Dean Hewland.
Yes, it was like fascinating to listen to, and that will be posted this month.
Yep.
Actually, maybe yesterday, tomorrow.
Well, we're trying to get a little creative with it because we're experimenting with a new
animation kind of.
Trying to make it maybe a little kid friendly. Is that?
Yeah.
So,
a little bit more kid engaging.
Yes. Yeah. So hopefully we can get that app working, or get the user up to speed on the app.
Sure.
So agriculture also ties into our quilt exhibit.
The
feed sack.
Yeah. Oh.
We have a feed sack quilt.
We do.
It's a feed sack crazy quilt. It's beautiful.
Bright.
It's bright.
See, I was thinking about the carded one.
Well,
I
thought about that one also, because that's the one where they card it. What is it, every
year or so
to keep it warm and
fluffy.
Yeah. So I thought,
Yeah.
agriculture ties in everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah.
And then we just ended the road there. We apparently ran out of
that's
farm. Well,
now.
no, because you mentioned too, it ties into World War I, even though not in our exhibit it doesn't, but Dean Hewland's presentation will tie it in. I think it's such an integral part of Freeborn County. I mean, you talk about when we started doing the immigration, they talked about
why people were
coming because of the water supply and the rich soil. And I wish I could think of this quote that one gentleman said. 10 acres of Freeborn County land is worth 250 acres of Iowa land, or something along that line.
That's fighting words though.
So agriculture is definitely a core here for Freeborn County, and we're very proud of our agricultural history, and we'll keep promoting.
Of course.
Anything else?
No,
Cheers. Hug a farmer.